Everyone gets hungry and thirsty at some point, and then there's that one meal that always comes to mind. That one meal that tickles the drool spot in anyone, even presidents. Do you want to know the favorite food and drink of every president in American history? We'll list them out, so follow through. 1. George Washington. George Washington, the first president, had a penchant for roasted meats and foods starting with H like hazelnuts and hoe cakes. He frequently enjoyed Madeira wine, cherry bounce, and dark porter, but also ran a distillery producing whiskey near Mount Vernon. When not indulging in alcoholic beverages, he drank milk, tea, and coffee. 2. John Adams. Hailing from New England, he favored simple regional dishes such as codfish cakes and apple pan dowdy. He enjoyed Madeira wine and often started his mornings with a glass of often hard cider. 3. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson made macaroni and cheese quite popular after discovering it in Europe by serving it frequently during his presidency. Jefferson was also an avid wine enthusiast. He famously spent over $10,000 on wine during his first term, a sum equivalent to more than $200,000 today. 4. James Monroe. James Monroe particularly loved spoon bread, which was the same with bread pudding. French and Spanish red wines were his faves when it came to having a drink. 5. Andrew Jackson. Nobody enjoyed leather breeches, a dish of green beans cooked with bacon like Andrew, like George Washington. Jackson also distilled whiskey, which was another favorite indulgence. 6. Martin Van Buren. Martin Van Buren had a particular fondness for apples, enjoying everything apple-flavored from donuts to cake. Known for his love of whiskey, he earned the nickname Blue Whiskey Van. 7. William Henry Harrison. If you've ever heard of squirrel stew, a common dish in various parts of the world, including places like Alabama, that was President William's favorite. Like John Adams, Harrison was a fan of hard cider. During his 1840 presidential campaign, his party decided to call him Log Cabin and Hard Cider, after opponents criticized his drinking. 8. John Tyler. John Tyler loved pudding and was especially known for serving sugar pie so frequently to guests that it became known as Tyler's pudding pie. Tyler also started each day with tea and milk, enjoyed from a very large cup. 9. James Polk. James Polk was particularly fond of cornbread, and his tastes might have aligned well with modern Southern-style cuisines, such as those offered at Cracker Barrel. However, his preferred stimulant was caffeine. 10. Zachary Taylor. Southern and Creole cuisines, particularly rice kalas, was Zachary's special dish. To top it off, Taylor liked to drink milk, and there was speculation that his sudden death while in office may have been caused by consuming iced milk that was contaminated with bacteria. 11. Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore had simple tastes in food, favoring straightforward dishes like soup and stew, which he preferred despite their lack of excitement for some. His beverage preferences included oolong tea. 12. Franklin Pierce. Franklin Pierce enjoyed clam chowder, fried clams, and apple pie. His particular fondness for alcoholic beverages made a glass of cognac his daily addiction. 13. James Buchanan. For someone known for hosting elaborate dinner parties with extravagant meals, yet his personal taste in food was just simple butter and cabbage. His beverage of choice was black and strong coffee, which he consumed on a daily basis. 14. Abraham Lincoln. With a modest appetite, Abraham enjoyed bacon and chicken curry. Although largely a teetotaler, he occasionally indulged in a glass of wine, making a slight exception to his general avoidance of alcohol. 15. Andrew Johnson. Andrew Johnson particularly enjoyed Hoppin' John, a traditional Southern dish made with rice and peas. Johnson's personal drink of choice was whiskey. 16. Ulysses Grant. Ulysses loves rice pudding so much that he even had his own special recipe for a lemon-flavored variant of this classic dessert. Despite his preference for straightforward food, Grant had a complicated relationship with alcohol. He once had a lavish White House party where he famously spent $1,800 on champagne, a sum equivalent to more than $45,000 today. 17. Rutherford Hayes. Rutherford Hayes had a notable fondness for food, especially his wife, Lucy's cornmeal pancakes, which were a special recipe in their household. Opting for non-alcoholic beverages, he preferred sugary lemonade, aligning with his temperate lifestyle. 18. James Garfield. Garfield often struggled with eating, but when possible, he favored squirrel soup. Although a temperance supporter, he occasionally enjoyed beer. 19. Chester Arthur. Chester Arthur loved mutton chops and, despite temperance pressures, enjoyed wine and brandy at the White House. 20. Grover Cleveland. The seafood president loved lavish meals, especially corned beef, cabbage, and pickled herring. With that, he preferred beer. 21. Benjamin Harrison. Benjamin Harrison enjoyed corn and large feasts, including one with turtles, and despite possibly being lactose intolerant, he loved milk. 22. William McKinley. McKinley enjoyed all types of meat and was a breakfast enthusiast, famously serving large breakfasts and a special egg casserole at the White House. He liked rye whiskey, inspiring the campaign cocktail, McKinley's Delight. 23. Theodore Roosevelt. Meat, especially steak and fried chicken, was Theodore's favorite, and could reportedly consume an entire chicken in one sitting. He was also a prolific coffee drinker, consuming up to a gallon daily, matching his vigorous persona. 24. William Taft. William Taft was a big fan of steak and potatoes, often consuming a 12-ounce steak with each meal and occasionally doubling up for dinner. 25. Woodrow Wilson. Woodrow Wilson's breakfast typically consisted of 2 raw eggs and a glass of grape juice. Additionally, he was fond of orange juice, which he frequently served at the White House. 26. Warren Harding. Warren Harding had a taste for what many consider comfort food, enjoying dishes like chicken pot pie and knockwurst with sauerkraut, despite presiding over the Prohibition era. Harding didn't shy away from indulging in whiskey, often sneaking it even into his golf bag. 27. Calvin Coolidge. Calvin Coolidge had some of the most unconventional eating habits among U.S. presidents. He referred to all meals as supper and was known for eating at odd times, often snacking during meetings, with a particular fondness for pickles. Aside from his eclectic food choices, Coolidge enjoyed apple cider, often made from his own orchard. 28. Franklin Roosevelt. FDR favored classic American comfort foods like grilled cheese sandwiches, hot dogs, scrambled eggs, and fish chowder, and enjoyed coffee like Teddy Roosevelt. 29. Harry Truman. Harry Truman cherished his mother's fried chicken above all, alongside a preference for well-done steak and meatloaf, just without onions. Unlike most modern presidents who start the day with coffee, Truman often began with a shot of bourbon. 30. Dwight Eisenhower. Dwight Eisenhower was not only a food enthusiast but also an adept cook. He and his wife Mamie often ate meals on TV trays, a first for the White House, while watching television. During World War II, Eisenhower consumed excessive amounts of coffee, a habit driven by the long, sleep-deprived hours of the war. 31. John Kennedy. John F. Kennedy, true to his New England roots, had a particular fondness for clam chowder and enjoyed seafood, though he reportedly did not eat large amounts at meals. He was very appreciative of a diverse range of beverages, including coffee, tea, beer, lemonade, and coconut water. 32. Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was known for his unusual culinary preferences, notably his breakfast habit of eating cottage cheese with ketchup. He regularly drank milk and coffee and had a particular liking for expensive red wine, which he enjoyed frequently. 33. Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford had simple yet specific tastes. His favorite dinner was pot roast with red cabbage, and he enjoyed butter pecan ice cream for dessert. He also liked English muffins. For beverages, Ford regularly drank tea and orange juice each day. 34. Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter, much like his predecessor LBJ, is a longtime lover of grits, having enjoyed them almost daily throughout his 97 years. He also preferred lemonade and coffee and generally consumed little alcohol. 35. Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan famously loved jelly beans, particularly Jelly Bellies, with jars always on his desk. Over 3 tons were shipped for his 1981 inauguration, and more than 300,000 jelly beans were bought monthly during his presidency for federal buildings. Reagan also enjoyed coffee, orange juice, and California red wines. 36. George H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush was known for his fondness for pork rinds, contributing to their increased popularity, much like Reagan did with jelly beans. As for beverages, while he initially loved coffee, he switched to decaf in his later years and also enjoyed Diet Coke, beer, and vodka. 37. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was famously fond of McDonald's, particularly their cheeseburgers, and made notable visits to the fast food chain even during his presidency. He also enjoys their Egg McMuffin breakfast sandwiches. 38. George W. Bush. George Bush Jr.'s favorite White House dinner request was a unique twist on a classic: a cheeseburger pizza featuring beef, bacon, tomatoes, cheese, pickles, ketchup, and mustard. Meanwhile, Bill Clinton's preferred beverage is coffee, though he also enjoys iced tea and previously had a penchant for Diet Coke. 39. Barack Obama. Barack Obama enjoys a healthier preference in his foods, with broccoli and high-quality cheeseburgers topping his list. 40. Donald Trump. Donald Trump loves fast food, McDonald's Big Mac and Filet-O-Fish, without fries, and often enjoys a bucket of chicken. Uniquely, he consumes up to 12 cans of Diet Coke daily. 41. Joe Biden. Finally, Joe Biden, as you may know, is fond of ice cream, and he doesn't hide this. His favorite drink is orange Gatorade, along with coffee. That means he's still preserving the presidential tradition of caffeinated beverages. Which president had the best food and drink combination in your opinion? Let's find out in the comments, and don't forget to leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos.